Today we are planning to cover second part in Unit 4 in Information Management. Let us see what are the contents we are going to discuss by today. Information system controls, information system vulnerability, disaster management, computer crimes, securing the verb. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss by today. The first topic is the information system controls. So under the system controls, you are having 4 sessions, that is controls, administrative, logical and physical. So these are the information system controls which helps us to protect the unauthorized user to access the CAA, that is which is used as the heart of the information security: confidentiality, integrity and availability of information. So first one is the controls. So selecting the proper control which helps an organization to bring down the risk to the acceptable level. So the controls which protects the CAA, as I said earlier, which helps us to protect the confidentiality, integrity or availability of information. Second one is the administrative, which is called as procedural control. So the name itself indicates that we are following certain procedure inside the organization, inside our country. So it consists of approved written policy, procedure, standards and guidelines. So it forms the framework for running the business and how to manage the people. Similarly, an organization informs the people how to run the business as well as the day-to-day operations they have to carry forward. So these will be called as administrative control. Third one is the logical. So it uses software and data to monitor and control the information. So they will be following certain logic, that is technical control. For example, passwords, firewalls, data encryptions are called logical controls. Final one in information system control is physical. So it monitor and control the environment of the workplace and computing facilities. Example, doors, lockdown or fire alarm, which are used physically to protect our workplace. So security guards, cable locks, air conditioning, heating techniques, cameras, barricades, fencing, these are the physical control techniques which helps to protect the environment of the workplace. So these are the general controls. So we have to give priority for the security as well as the usage of computer programs and security of data files throughout the organization information technology infrastructure. And these are the different types of general controls which we have to look forward to protect the CIA. So that will be called as the application control. We are following specific control unique to each computerized application, such as payroll or order processing. So it includes both the automated and the manual procedure. We are having authorized data which will be completely and accurately processed by the application, consists of input processing and the output controls. The second topic is information system vulnerability. So what do you mean by vulnerability? So while seeing the picture, we can able to identify the meaning of vulnerability. The person walking in a rope, so the imbalance is or weakness which will be called as vulnerability. So there is a chance of falling down is the risk factor. The crocodiles in the river, that will be called as threats. So while discussing about information system vulnerability, a flaw or weakness in the security system, that is in policy, procedure, design or implementation, which will lead to the security breach or violation of the system. So data and computer security. So there will be a weakness in computer security. If there is any weakness in the automatic system or automated system, that is in procedure, administrative control, which leads to the unauthorized access of information. So there is a weakness in physical layout which harm the automatic data processing system. So national level, there is National Information Assurance Training and Education Center which defines the vulnerability. As I said earlier, the weakness in the automated system or in procedure which leads to the unauthorized access of the information. If there is any weakness in the security, system security or hardware internal control which leads to the unauthorized access. If there is any weakness in the physical layout or the organization procedure or personnel management administration hardware, so this will exploit the automatic data processing system. So there are susceptibility of various threats. So the set of property of the specific internal entity as well as the external entity which implies the risk. Vulnerability and the risk factor models. So a resource which may be either physical or logical. So the resource have one or more vulnerability that can be exploited by a threat agent which compromise the CIA of a information security. So these are the classifications of information security management system. So you will be having hardware, software, network, personnel, site and the organizational vulnerabilities. In case of hardware vulnerability, the hardware system may be susceptible, might be or must be susceptible to humidity, dust, soiling and unprotected storage. So it will lead to the exploit of the weakness or flaw of unauthorized access. So software, in case if your software having insufficient testing, if your application is not tested properly, it will lead to the flaw in a application. Lack of audit trail. If there is no audit trail happen in an application, there will be a chance of errors in a particular software. In case of network, if the particular network server have unprotected communication line which will lead a third party to access the information. Insecure network architecture which will leads to the unauthorized access. In case of personnel, if the recruited person has not undergone any training to develop a software, they will do a poor coding which leads to the flaw in the application. So inadequate security awareness. So they are not aware of the security coding system which will lead to the failure or flaw or weakness in the developed application. In case of site, if the particular location is subject to flood or unreliable power source, so if the particular location is not having proper physical safety or security, it will lead to the unauthorized access, that is failure. Final one is the organizational. If the particular organization is not giving importance for the information security, in case of lack of regular audit or lack of continuity plans or lack of security, which leads to the vulnerability. And causes, if you are talking about the causes of information system vulnerability, so complexity, familiarity, connectivity, password management flaws, fundamental operating system design flaws, internet website browsing, software bugs, unchecked user input, not learning from past mistakes. So these are the causes if you are not following the information security system. First one is the complexity. If your system have the complex or large system which will leads or increase the probability of flaw as well as the unintended access points. Second one is the familiarity. In case if the developer uses the known, common, operating system as well as the hardware, which increases the probability of an attacker find the knowledge and tools to exploit the flaw. And third one is the connectivity. If there is more physical connection or ports or protocols inside the system, that will be accessible as well as increase the vulnerability. Password management. If the computer user uses weak passwords that could be discovered by brute force, which will lead to the inaccessible, or the particular attacker may use the system and reuse the password between many programs and websites. Fourth one is the fundamental operating system design flaws. If your operating system have the policy as the default permit grant every program and every user, they will be accessing to the entire computer, which will lead to the flaw. That is, we allow that a particular operating system allows the virus and malware to execute commands on behalf of the administrator. Next one is the internet website browsing. The particular computer or particular website may contain harmful spyware that can be installed automatically on the computer system. So in case the particular user visits the website, it will infect the personal information as well as passwords inside the computer that will be transferred to the third party individuals. And next is the software bugs. If the program leaves an exploitable bug in the software program, the bug may allow an attacker to use the misuse an application unchecked user input. The program assumes that all the user input is safe. In case the programs does not have the check user input, which will leads to the SQL injection. So unintended direct execution of commands. A final one is the not learning from the past mistakes. For example, most vulnerabilities discovered in IPv4 protocol software were discovered in the new IPv6 implementations. And next one is the vulnerability consequences. So, in case if you didn't protect or you should not have the proper security system, you should influence a organization to use the proper security system inside our organization. They have to set up a multi-layer defense system to prevent the exploit, detect the and intercept the attack, find out the threat agents and prosecute them. Vulnerability disclosure. So, when you are talking about vulnerability disclosure, Google, Microsoft, Tipping Point and Rapid7 have recently issued guidelines and statements addressing how to deal with a disclosure. So, these are the examples of vulnerabilities. These are the software vulnerabilities which we should take care of to protect our information system. Next topic is the disaster management information system. So, we are having certain objectives of disaster management information system. So, we have to overcome the limitations of the existing system and we have to build the DSS for better district administration. Editing, updating of spatial and non-spatial data, as well as we should develop a user-friendly customized DMIS software, that is disaster management information system software. So when you are talking about disaster management, it means a continuous and integrated process of planning, organizing, coordinating and implementing measures which are necessary for the prevention from danger. So we are using an information system to protect from danger as well as from threats. So the government of Maharashtra, they are having a disaster management unit. It has a standard DMIS software. It uses the prototype model of software development lifecycle. The software is installed in Relief and Rehabilitation Cell at Mantralaya, Mumbai, Maharashtra state. So it protects the Maharashtra from disaster. So GIS, so we all know what I mean by GIS. That is Geographic Information System. So it is a powerful technology which helps us to assist in decision making of all the phases of the disaster management cycle. So it uses to integrate the geography as well as the associated attribute pertaining to the location with the spatial relationship with the numerous parameters, which helps us to minimize the possible damage as well as to ensure the immediate action when required and prioritize actions for long-term risk reduction. So while implementing the disaster management information system, so it will be an customized software which will be delivered all over the state to 50 collectorate offices as well as the relief and rehabilitation cell at Mantralaya, Mumbai. So the natural resource database have 1:50,000 scale in GIS format. So disaster management information system, it is a customized software which is easy to use. A data request sheet as well as the user manual is given to all the relief and rehabilitation cell as well as the collectorate office to how to use the particular software and protect from disaster. So we are talking about the beneficiaries: relief and rehabilitation cell, planning department, secretariats, so the district collectorate, functional officers and the non-government organization. So these are the beneficiaries of disaster management information system. Next topic is the computer crimes. So the act of using a computer to commit an illegal act is called computer crimes. So we are using a computer as well as we are committing an illegal act. So authorized and the unauthorized computer access. So for example, the particular person can stealing time on computer company. That is company computers are breaking the government websites, stealing credit card information. So these are the illegal act of computer crimes. So we are talking about federal and state laws. That is, we are stealing or compromising data. We are using the data of a particular company. So gaining unauthorized access of a third party company or third party computer, or violating data in case the bank having data, we are misusing the data, or threatening the computing system, or we are installing or we are using a malware to crash the system. When we are talking about hacking and cracking, so the hacker means one person who gains the unauthorized access of the computer, but they will not doing any damage of the data, but they gain the unauthorized access of the computer system. That is called hacking. Cracking in the means the person who breaks into the computer system for the purpose of doing damage, that is called cracker. So when I am talking about computer crimes, these are the various types. First one is the data diddling, that is modifying the data. And second one is the we are skimming small amount of data or money, that is called slicing. Pricking, making free long distance calls. Cloning, we are using cell phone for the fraud using scanners. Carding, we are stealing the credit card numbers through online. Piggybacking, we are stealing credit card numbers by spying. Social engineering, we are tricking employees to gain the access of the computer system. Dumpster diving, finding information, private information in garbage cans. Spoofing, we are stealing password through a false login page. In case of software piracy, the highest software piracy which is happening in Eastern Europe. So we are going to talk about computer virus and the destructive code. So what do you mean by virus? A destructive program that disrupts the normal functioning of the computer system. You are having two types of worms, that is types of viruses. Worm that usually destroy the files. Trojan horses, it activates without being detected. It does not copy itself. Logical time bombs, a type of Trojan horse that stays dormant for a period of time before activating. The final topic in today's session is securing the website. What do you mean by securing the web? In the sense, we have to protect the website from unauthorized user, that is called securing the web. So we are going to talk about attacks for the education purpose. So we are having two different types of attacks. Before getting into the topic, first, what do you mean by attack? So we are gaining the access of the data by an unauthorized user. The unauthorized user can access the data, modify the data, or destroy the data. That will be called as attack. First one is the denial of service. That will be called as cyber attack. In case we can use the DOS to crash the website, as well as we can slow down the website in case a particular person is sending many number of requests to the particular website. It will slow down the website. For example, we are sending the request using the website name, example google.com. We will get the reply from the particular website. So every server, they will have some range to accept the request sent by the client. In case the request exceeds the range, the server will slow down. We did not get any reply. It will show a buffering. But in B, it is not possible for us to do a DOS attack in google.com because Google have the greater bandwidth. For example, in case a famous actor movie trailer release for a particular timing, they will be telling by 6 p.m. a particular trailer is going to be launched. At that time, every user, they will be using the YouTube to watch the trailer. So that time it is not possible for us to see the trailer of a particular movie because of the too much of request sent by the user to the website. It will slow down the website for a particular duration. The hammer tool Termex. It is one kind of tool which is used for the DOS attack. Next one is the distributed denial of service. What's the difference between DOS and the distributed denial of service attack? A single user who attacks the system or who use the tool to crash the system, that will be called as DOS attack. A multiple user or a person who use the multiple system to attack the website or server is called distributed denial of service attack. That will be called as botnet. An attacker uses the botnet malware in email attachment or internet that spread the malware in unwanted website. In case if you visit the particular website, or in case if you open the particular email, the botnet malware get installed in the system without our knowledge. The attacker will access our system to crash the website. That will be called as distributed denial of service attack. So these are the most common DDoS attack: FTP, bounce attack, port scanning attack, ping flooding attack, smurf attack, SYN flooding, pre-fragmentation, fragmentation attack, simple network management protocol attack. So when you're talking about FTP bounce attack, FTP means file transfer protocol. So file transfer protocol, first step is the attacker, they will be open a connection with the intermediate server. The intermediate server connects to the target server. The sensitive files will be transmitted from the target server to the intermediate server. Finally, the data transferred back to the attacker. That will be called as file transfer protocol bounce attack. Second one is the port scanning attack. So port scanning attack is a technique. So they will be checking which port is open on a particular server. So there is a range from 0 to 1024. You will have different ports. For example, port 20 which may be connected for FTP or port 21 for SMTP. So likewise, every port they will have some port number. We have to check which port is open on a particular server. So someone may scan your web server with the intention to find out the exposed service or vulnerabilities. So the attack can be fairly easily performed with any number of port scanners available freely on the internet. So the particular attacker, they will be checking which port is open on a particular server. They will be using the particular port to exploit the system. That is called port scanning attack. Third one is the ping flooding attack. So the ping flooding attack, in case, so you will have two different types of attacks involved. In case of denial of service attack, the attacker will overwhelm the targeted device using the ICMP packets, that is Internet Control Message Protocol Echo Request packets. They will cause the target inaccessible to normal traffic. They will be causing the system of normal traffic, means it is denial of service attack. If the ping flooding attacks, the attacker sends traffic from multiple system or multiple device, that will be called as DDos attack. Smurf attack. So this attack is similar to the ping flood attack, but there is certain modification in this process. A ping command is sent to the intermediate network, and that will be forwarded to the victim system. So it will become a huge amount of traffic inside the system. That is called Smurf attack. SYN flooding, synchronization. So this attack, it requires a knowledge of the TCP IP protocol. So that the attacker, they will be sending a request or letter to the victim, as well as the letter they using contains the fake return address. So the client acts as the attacker. They will be sending the letter to the host, the server, with the fake return address. So they will be sending letter and waiting for the response. The server, they will send the letter back and they will be waiting for the response, but the response will never come back because they are using the fake return address. So using the synchronization request to the system, the attacker uses the connection of the system. They will be sending a letter from the multiple sources. So the host will be waiting for the acknowledgement, but they will not get the response from the client. So they will not do a new connections because of the response they didn't get from the client. That is called SYN flooding. Fragmentation attack. Now talking about fragmentation attack, the attacker uses the advanced knowledge of the TCP IP protocol. They will be breaking the packets into fragments to bypass the most intrusion reduction system. So the attacker can cause the locks up, reboots or other mischief. A simple network management protocol attack. So SNMP attack, they will be using the SNMP services to manage the network and devices. So they will come to know the network devices, how the SNMP is used to manage the network devices to exploit the service and attack a detailed intelligence on the structure of the network. So they will be exploiting the structure of the network to attack the system later. Web page defacement. So the web page defacement, they will be finding out the web server configuration. If there is any improper configuration in a particular server, the attacker uses the flaw configuration to modify the web page for any number of reasons. Maybe for fun or for political cause, they will damage the website. SQL injection, structured query language injection. So the attacker carried out the attacks carried out against the database. So the attacker uses the weakness in the design of the database. They will be using the flaw in the design to extract the information, or even they will be manipulating the information within the database. So in talking about poor coding, the developer who is a fresher or a lazy coding practices person, they will be uses the poor coding techniques to develop a application or software. So poor coding, which leads to the flaw in application, which leads for DDos attack. A final one is the shrink wrapped code. It is similar to the poor coding technique, but with a twist. The attacker, that is the developer, they will be using the advantage of the inbuilt code as well as scripts. They will not reinvent. They will be using the inbuilt code to develop the particular application. That will be leading to the shrink wrapped code attack. The scripts and the code pieces that are designed to make installation and administration easier, that lead to the vulnerability if it is not managed appropriately. So final one is the protecting web servers. So how to protect the websites or web servers? The first one is the separate web servers from the internal and external user. So most organizations, they have web-based applications or sites which are used internally as well as application and sites used externally. So they have to separate the internal server from the external person user. Second one is the separate development and the production server. So the most organizations violated this rule by letting the development team work on the production server. So extreme laziness, which leads to the problem later. When an attacker sees your unpolished code and exploit his or her own ends. So sometimes the security, that is a developer may compromise the security by testing and tweaking code. Third one is the regular audit. Any web server or web application have undergone a regular audit to find out the problems as well as application failures or suspicious activity to avoid the future attacks. Fourth one is the keep your system up to date. So every system, whether they are using a patches or service packs or updates regularly to find out whether it is delivered automatically or old-fashioned manual delivery is happening, that should be monitored. So the updates are the only way to fix problems which are related to the buffer overflows as well as the network client issues. Vulnerability scanning. The vulnerability scanning is a powerful tool in the ongoing struggle to uncover the problems related to the software. A final one is the developer training. So, a tremendous reward should be given if a trainer provides a proper training for the developer to avoid a poor coding technique. In case if the developer gets a proper training, they will be doing a secure coding practices which will result in the elimination or reduction of the problems associated with the lazy coding techniques. Thank you.